So welcome to this London Games Festival panel on becoming a creator for a career. So it's from creator to career. We are talking to some fantastic panelists who have made careers creating maps and games in some of the biggest games in the world, like Minecraft and Roblox and Fortnite, which everyone will have heard of, I'm sure. So we're going to talk about their path to success, how they ended up doing what they do and making money for it. And then we're going to get some tips for how you can do it too, if you would like to do this for a career. If you're wondering who I am, my name is Jordan Erica Webber. I am a writer and presenter. I specialize in video games. You may have seen me on The Gadget Show on Channel 5. You might have heard me on BBC Radio 4, or maybe you've read my work in The Guardian or in my book, 10 Things Video Games Can Teach Us. But you are not here to see me. You are here to see my fantastic panelists. So I'm going to get them to introduce themselves one by one and tell you some of what they've done in this kind of space. So we are going to start with Max. Max, if you could introduce yourself and what you do as a creator.
Hello. So I'm a developer on Roblox. I've made the game Shark Bite. We're about to reach 1 billion hits on the platform, which is amazing for us. We created the game in 2017, and we've gone on to create other games such as backpacking, and it's been brilliant.
Glad to hear it. And Stefan, you next, if you could introduce yourself.
So my name's Stefan, otherwise known as Noxite in the community. I've been playing Minecraft since the very beginning, so roughly 2008, 2009, that area. Started to make custom Minecraft content and then started dishing it out to the community. And about 7 years later, my company called Nox Crew became a business, which is now my full-time job, where we get to just create lots of custom and imaginary universes for the players of Minecraft to experience.
Amazing. Creator of imaginary universes. What a dream. And finally, last but by no means least, Michael.
Hey, so I'm Michael. I am part of Atlas Creative, and we're a two-man team that work in Fortnite as game designers and game mechanics. And our most recent project, we got to work with Microsoft to bring the famous map Blood Gulch from Halo to Fortnite.
And that map has been downloaded something like 5 million times in just a week. Is that right?
Something crazy like that. Yep.
Absolutely bonkers. So we will start this conversation, I think, by talking about how you all got into this kind of work, because it's the kind of thing that I guess wouldn't have existed just a few decades ago. You would have never have known that you could make a career out of this. So how did you get started? Stefan, let's start with you. What was the kind of very first thing you made? Was it any good? And, why did you decide to start doing this?
So growing up, I played a lot of video games and watched a lot of films. So I began as, I'd say, like a film enthusiast with a bit of an unhealthy gaming hobby. So I played a lot of MMOs and went to various universes, escapism as a kid. And when I was also obsessed with Lego. So when Minecraft came out and I realized it was literally a digital Lego, it sort of fascinated me. And I remember there was the sunset, there was it was nighttime, and I had my torches next to my base. And I was like, wow, this is very atmospheric. I'm going to record a small clip of this and put the Gymnopody, I think it's called, the classic music track on top to try and create this atmosphere. And then I put it on YouTube and I was like, yeah, look at this atmosphere that I've created in a video game. That was the first thing I've ever made. It was nothing. It was worthless, but that's what it was.
Michael, what's your story then? What's your first thing you made and why did you decide to get into this business?
Yeah, so I grew up playing video games with my little brother, and it was always just a hobby. And I actually was in marketing as my career job. And I started to get into Fortnite, and they released Fortnite Creative eventually. And one of my buddies from college is a pretty decent sized YouTuber, Rocket League player. And he asked for a Rocket League map in Fortnite Creative. And I was like, let me check it out. And it is awful. I still keep it around just so I can go back and look at it and be like, okay, humble. And then yeah, and it took off from there, and it's been really great. Been loving it.
Amazing. Max, are you going to be the exception to the rule? Is your first thing you made actually a work of genius?
No, not at all. So I joined Roblox in 2008, so I was 13 years old. I remember finding it just going around the web and trying to find interesting physics games. At the time, there were very few games on the platform. They were all very simple, such as paintballing and building games. No one was making any money from them at the time. And I remember I had a small community, and we used to build like silly things such as rocket ships, and try and make them go as high as possible before they like broke and glitched out. Like none of my creations were great, but they were usable. I remember the first games I made when I was 13. One of them was called Biggest Most Dangerous Racetrack. And they were just like the creations of a 13-year-old kid that just wants to have fun.
So let's talk about the first thing that you made that you thought was good enough to share then. Michael, how about you?
Yeah, so the first thing that I was really excited about sharing with my fans was called Slurp Gun Game, and it ended up getting featured by Fortnite Creative, and I really was excited about the design because for the first time, especially since that first map, I just felt really comfortable with what I was doing, and I also got to do a lot with mechanics for the first time, and instead of a normal gun game where it rotates through guns, it did that, but also it was set in this laboratory that was like melting down, and every like random times it would flip upside down and you'd be in like an inverted version of it, or there would be zombies, and it was just a lot of fun to make, and I was really excited about it.
I mean, it sounds awesome. Max, how about you?
The first game I made that I was proud of was called Row Bowling. It was a 10-pin bowling type game. Players could join groups and bowl together. They could purchase different like skins for their bowling balls and different animations. People used to role play as like waiters bringing food to people while they bowl. And yeah, it was a relatively successful game. I remember we had about 1,000 concurrent players at its like best, which wasn't bad back then. And we had several YouTubers and streamers play it, and it was really enjoyable to see people finally enjoy a game that I'd created.
I mean, that's amazing. 1,000 concurrent players. Some games on Steam could only wish for those numbers. Stefan, how about you?
So the first thing, well, the concept of knowing if something's good when you're young doesn't exist. So the first thing that we made that I was proud of goes into kind of learning our first lesson as well, which is never overscope. Because the first kind of proper project I'd say that I wanted to take on in Minecraft was this massive like RPG kind of Skyrim level. And I think like a year into it, we realized, okay, we're never actually going to release this if we keep like wanting to make it the biggest thing ever. So we decided to split it up into into like an episodic structure. And it was to tell the story of a janitor who accidentally went on this epic fantasy quest to save the world, right? So the first episode was sort of a, I don't know, half an hour kind of experience of you being a janitor living with your mother on an island, and you're just running around doing like errands for the little villagers, and you accidentally stumble on this like bigger secret and eventually like set off from the island at the end to go to your like dream janitor job, which ends up like you accidentally crash the ship and you end up going on a bigger quest. So we released that finally in like 2011 as our first project, and it had a really cool story, and some YouTubers picked it up, and it went a little viral, and that was kind of our first experience of the bigger Minecraft community out there of people wanting to experience what we'd made with the game.
Goodness, I can't think of many games where you play as a janitor, so that's a pretty cool and imaginative idea. So all of you started to get the sense then that you could make these kinds of things and lots of people would want to play them and maybe they could even go viral. At what point did you realize that you could make a career out of this kind of thing? Let's start with Max.
I think after I created my most successful game, Sharkbite, in the summer of 2017, I realized that I could actually make a living out of this. And I was in university at the time, so I was making like a few dollars here and there to support my university living and going out and all of that student stuff. But after I graduated, I decided not to look for a job, to continue pushing with development. And that's what I've been doing for the last couple of years. And I now pay my rent and I'm looking to hire other team members.
That's amazing. What did your kind of parents or guardians think of it when you finished university and decided you wanted to do this?
They were happy for me, but they were confused at first, understandably. They never told me to stop. I remember the platform at the time was quite unknown, like it wasn't covered in the media or anything. I actually went to America to work for Roblox as like an intern for a few months. So after I'd done that, like they started to realize that this was a serious thing. And now like my mum and dad are always looking at my Twitter and asking about game updates and yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So Stefan, how about you then?
So the first question was
sure. Yep. When did you decide that it could be a career?
So there was actually plenty of people making a career out of Minecraft prior to when I made it into a career, and it was because it turned into a career roughly 8 years after the game's released, for me at least. But before then, you could go down certain routes to make money in Minecraft. But for me, I was never interested in those routes. I always wanted to kind of tell these kind of story-based experiences, and we were making sort of like web shows and stuff, but we didn't make them consistently enough to make any money off it. So it never became like a proper career option until in 2016, I think it was, or 17, Microsoft shot an email just randomly and said, hey, we've noticed that you are making these custom adventures. Do you want to help us pioneer a marketplace that allows the rest of the community to make similar adventures like this and sell it too? So we became one of the original teams to help them create the ecosystem that now exists and has spawned many other companies doing the same thing. And
wow.
That's when it became like a reality, right?
How did it feel to hear from Microsoft?
I thought it was spam to begin with. I was like, no way, this ain't real. And then it was like, no, come to London, have some meetings with us in an office and stuff. And it was just like, whoa, okay, this is real.
Wow, incredible. Michael, how about you? When did you start to think that you could make a career out of doing this kind of thing?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, it started off as just a hobby and I worked in marketing. And then slowly enough, it started to make the shift where I was just sitting 9 to 5 at my marketing job, like dreaming about everything I could do in the game design world. And eventually my marketing job honestly started becoming my hobby, and Fortnite ended up becoming bigger. And it was a little scary at first because unlike Minecraft and Roblox, Fortnite was relatively new, specifically Fortnite creative. So there weren't a ton of people doing this for a career. But I was fortunate enough to meet a lot of the right people, and I've been loving it. It's been great.
That's amazing. Max, we've already talked about what your family think about what you do. How about your friends? Do they think it's really cool?
Yeah. My friends are really supportive about what I do. I remember when my game hit 500 million hits, like my friend sent me a bottle of champagne and like I really appreciated that. So yeah, they've taken to it really well. Yeah.
That's adorable. Sounds like you have good friends. Stefan, what about you? Good friends, good family? How do your family feel about it?
my family was always very against me sitting on the computer playing games. So
Same.
yeah, but you know, it's in your kind of destiny to rebel against what your parents want and prove them wrong, sort of thing. So that's kind of what happened. I'd say my parents still don't understand what I do, but that's because they don't understand how the world works. So whatever, like they, you know, they're more focused on the cool things that I get to do in like life and the fact that there's a company of people and etc. that's from it. So they're like, you know, whatever, right?
Sure. The more legitimate it seems, I guess, the better they feel about it.
Yeah. Sometimes you really have to pretend.
Yeah. Michael, how about you? Friends and family?
Yeah, at first, same. They were very weary of me doing playing video games for a living, but they've slowly come to understand everything. And now my mom always jokes that in high school, whenever I was grounded, the first thing to go was my Xbox 360, and she always jokes that she was just holding me back. But yeah, they're really understanding now.
I want to talk to all of you about what your interaction is like with the fans. So when you make things and people play them and they love them, do they know that the things you're making aren't made by the same people as made the games themselves? So the people who made Minecraft, the people who made Roblox, the people who made Fortnite. Stefan, do you get that sense from your fans, or does it matter to you even whether they know it's you or whether they think it's someone else?
Most of the people know that it's made by the community. There are the odd bunch that think it's kind of official, but usually they're not the ones that are actually fans. They're just sort of, I don't know, if Microsoft chooses to promote one of our products on the Twitter, for example, then the people replying there will think that it's Microsoft's product when it's not. To be honest, I don't really think about it. I only care about the people who care.
Sure. I guess in some ways, maybe it's nice to have people think that your work is the kind of thing that could be made by a huge multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah, I guess there is an accidental compliment in the whole thing. Yeah.
Michael, how about you?
Yeah, no, pretty much same lines as what Stefan was saying. There's every once in a while we'll get someone that plays our map and is like, "Oh my gosh, you work for Epic Games," like, and they think we're actual, like, we work for Fortnite team, and they don't realize it's a community project. But I think the more time that creative grows and evolves, people are starting to realize that there are these opportunities to make community builds.
Okay. Max, have you had a similar experience then?
Yeah, so I've spoken to the community, and they know that we're not hired by Roblox, and they're under no illusion that we are. We're just paid from revenue that we earn from the game. If the game fails, we don't get paid. As for like if it matters if they don't know, I've never really thought about it. I think I'd like people to know that like developers aren't influenced by Roblox. We're not told to make a certain game or told to make certain decisions. So we operate like independently as ourselves, and I think everyone's aware of that because they also have the tools to make the games. So, you know, if they have the tools, then they know that we're not hired to make them. Sure.
And what's it like to work with Roblox on some of these things then, and to have them aware of your work and to have that kind of relationship with that big company?
It's really great. Yeah, they have a really big dedicated developer relations team. And there are a bunch of really great people that we work alongside in partnership. So they'll promote our game occasionally and help us like with monetization tips. And yeah, it's a strange like feeling thinking back to before I worked closely with Roblox, because a lot of kids, when they play Roblox, they see Roblox staff as like superstars in the Roblox world. So it's great to have met them all in person and know that they're just ordinary, great people.
Stefan and Michael, we've talked a little bit about what it's like to work with Microsoft and Epic Games, but is there anything else you want to add about what that relationship is like? Yeah,
so essentially the game, for us, it's sort of like a game engine, right? Using Minecraft, and I assume the same thing is with Roblox and Fortnite. And you essentially have this, I've been in the kind of Minecraft community 7 years prior and experienced what it's like to be working on something and not having necessarily the team who makes the game aware of your problems that you're running into.
Mhm.
So what's nice now is that as we're working on these products to sell, Microsoft is kind of very invested in what changes we might want to the game to enable us to do, like, to make better content, right? And yeah, I think that's the coolest part of it, is that you have a game engine team that are just like, what do you want? What do you want? We'll make life better for you.
Amazing. So you can directly influence the direction that the game takes.
Yeah.
Is that the same for you, Michael?
Yeah, no, they really hit it on the head there. I playing Fortnite, I kind of like idolize the team because I think it is such a great team and a great game. And so when I was able to build some of those relationships and start to learn from them, it's just been crazy, and I still can't wrap my head around it.
A dream come true. Stefan, let's talk about the Frozen 2 map that your team has made. What is it like to work on licensed content? And how does that compare to coming up with your own ideas? Do you prefer one over the other?
It's pretty cool. It has its, like, there's pros and cons, right? Because when you're working with someone else's IP, it's their IP and they're going to make a lot of the decisions for you. So, what's preferable really is that you create your own thing and you have all the decisions. But, there is absolutely something cool about creating, about realizing one of your iconic sort of interests into a Minecraft world, right? Into the game that you love. So, when we worked on Frozen, there were a ton of people in the team that were massive Disney fans. And we actually got to like fly out to LA and visit them and talk to them about the film well before the film was like aired.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a lot of like cool stuff to it, like cool perks.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I kind of want your job now. Michael, you talked about the Halo IP that you worked with earlier. What was that like?
Yeah, it was great. I grew up playing Halo 3, was like my game in high school. So it was really cool when they reached out to us. And me and my two build partners, we were able to work on the project. It definitely, like Stefan was saying, like there are a ton of awesome perks where you're like, pinch me, is this real? Like, but it's just a different experience because you're working on recreating something. And for us, it was actually recreating an entire map and an experience. So we had to be very detailed and capture all the little things that make Blood Gulch, Blood Gulch.
Yeah, I think in that case, you have to remind yourself that you're working with someone who knows the product better than you, which is different to the way we've obviously got into the community, because we've just been working on our own thing and with our own freedom, and suddenly you're given this challenge of like, oh, how do I work on someone else's product and show like a massive amount of respect to it? And you have to almost like learn that from that kind of experience. But yeah,
it's new skills, isn't it? Always learning new things. Max, have you worked with any licensed IP? And if you haven't, do you have a wish list for something you'd like to recreate in Roblox?
Yeah, we've had several sponsorships. I've not created a game specifically for a company, but we brought a lot of things into Sharkbite. I think we've done like McDonald's fruit bag adverts. Everything has to be like kid friendly. I can't remember the others, but we've done quite a few. But yeah, it's been a really great experience. One that we did recently actually was the Ready Player 2 book launch. So as part of that, we put like a hidden Easter egg mission into our game. And we had all of the YouTube and Twitch streaming community trying to find the Easter egg first, because the first few people get like a special reward. So that was a really great project to work on. And we worked directly with the writer and had signed books. And yeah, it was nice.
Wow. And I suppose, because of the pandemic, things have changed. A lot of events and things are going online. A lot of people are using games to host their events. Do you all see this kind of work extending into the future, even as the pandemic ends? I don't know if any of you have particular thoughts about that. It wasn't on the list of questions we prepared, but
Yeah, I think.
No, you go
Sorry.
ahead. You go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, no, I definitely think this is coming from a marketing background. I think this is huge for marketing. It's one of the most engaging ways to market to your audience is they're actually playing a video game and they can like interact with your product. So I think it's going to be, it's only going to grow bigger and bigger. Like a couple weeks ago, they recreated the Super Bowl venue in Fortnite and flew a team out to Tampa and did all this promotion. Like I only see it growing bigger and bigger.
Stefan, you had some thoughts.
Yeah, I was going to say no. People don't know how to behave online.
Oh, okay. So that's the biggest problem you see with this kind of thing.
I've been to some kind of like Minecraft events, and I don't know. I've never personally captured the same vibe as a real world event. There's some disconnect in the kind of human to human connection there.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm yet to be proven. Like I like to be proven wrong, but yeah.
I think there's been a big rise in online concerts, both on like, I know Fortnite did a big one, Roblox did one of Little Nas, and yeah, I see things like that continuing into the future.
I want to know what the most rewarding part of your work is. Max, can we start with you?
Ooh.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
The most rewarding part is, it sounds like cringy because everyone says it, but it's seeing all the players enjoy your game. And we have like a huge community on Discord of players that are so dedicated to like playing a game and finding different tactics. And I just find it really rewarding, like that part of the job. And it's also a great privilege to be able to take part in like podcasts and like events like this. Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned events like this. Stefan, how about you?
Yeah, it's. I think it's the like when you think about the stuff that you yourself are obsessed with, so media, content, entertainment, etc., and the way you kind of dissect things and review it, and you sort of come to why this piece of media is so good. When you yourself make something and then an audience kind of dissect your content and try and like, I don't know how to word it, like try to evidence, what's good about it. And they come up with sort of theories on what's going on behind the scenes and stuff. And it's just, just watching the community like enjoy that thing that you've made the same way that you've enjoyed things that you watch and read and etc. is kind of something unexpected, but like feels really oddly rewarding.
It's building a fan base, right?
Yeah, and you get to sort of through the way that you treat your content, you get to influence people as well.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Michael, how about you?
Yeah, no. So one moment that I had recently was playing one of the games. I met this kid who was just freaking out and was excited about the game, and he was saying that it's like one of him and his dad's like favorite things to do. And I think those moments, like knowing that we get to create moments like that for people, and have those moments that like connect people, it's just really cool. And I'll never get over those kind of little things.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think we all have that like experience when we're kids. We're playing some sort of game and we memorize like photographically in our head this like cave that we went into and there was this monster there or something. And we're sort of creating those same experiences for the next generation behind us. Like,
amazing. So let's talk then about what people can do if they want to start doing this kind of thing and maybe using it as a way to get into the games industry, because that's something that a lot of people want to do, right? And they might not have considered this as a way to start. So Stefan, we'll start with you. Do you have any advice for what people should do first? Should they just download the game and get started there? Or are there other kind of tools and software they should use?
Oh man. So this one's it's a strange and complicated question, because me personally, I got into the game and making things that I wanted because of my interests. I have come back to me on this one.
Okay. We'll go to Max then. Sorry to put you on the spot, Max, all of a sudden. But if someone wants to, for instance, start making games in Roblox, do they just download Roblox and get started? Or would you advise that they download some other tools as well?
Yeah, so Roblox is a really accessible platform for people who want to start developing. So when you download Roblox, I believe it also downloads a separate piece of software called Roblox Studio. And this is a whole game engine, development engine where you can program, you can bring in 3D models, you can bring in like textures and sounds, and you can do everything all in this one piece of software. So in that regards, it's really easy to start creating games on Roblox. And they have great documentation and courses, and
Amazing. So easy to get started then. Michael, would you say it was also easy to get started? Is that people should just download the game?
Yeah, for sure. Download the game, play around with VR, and then right next to it is a little tab for creative that you can jump in. And if you are just getting started, my biggest piece of advice is just to start small. Sometimes it's really overwhelming at first, but if you could just focus on building something small and then working up from there, it's a lot easier in my opinion.
Stefan, sorry to come back to you already, but I feel like with Minecraft in particular, there's a feeling that it can kind of help people to jump into programming, right? So actual writing code rather than just using the game's inbuilt tools. Is that right? Do you also do coding?
That is true. I don't personally code, but I know that they have like a Minecraft education edition, and there's some sort of like code in a day challenges. I don't know actually a ton on that, but there's definitely a ton of support around learning to code in Minecraft. I know that, like if you Google it, it's going to be everywhere. So,
and if people want to do exactly what you do, how would they do that, or should they not?
First, love Minecraft, and then start building what you want in creative mode in a world, and then you can easily kind of share that world as a file. It depends on the version of Minecraft that you're on. If you're on Bedrock Edition, there's like a export option in the main menu. If you're on Java, you just go and look in the folder structure where the game is sitting, and you can just copy that file and just send it to a friend. And once you start poking around in that file structure, you will start to realize what you can change, such as textures and sounds and etc. But yeah, there's a ton of documentation online as well in the form of wikis, etc.
Awesome. And I suppose as this kind of thing becomes more common, there will just be more and more documentation and more tools to help people. Michael, do you do any coding?
I am starting to learn coding. So there's actually a big move. It's all very secretive and I don't know a ton about it, but there's something called Fortnite Creative 2.0 coming out in the next year. And the creators of Fortnite, it's public, so it's not like a crazy secret I'm revealing. But a lot of people are wondering if they've talked a lot about integrating Unreal Engine. So right now I'm trying to teach myself some coding just so that if it does go in that direction, that I'm prepared.
And that's C++?
That is, so they first Creative 2.0, they've actually talked about basically writing their own language. So it'll be something totally different, but I'm guessing it is probably going to have hints of Unreal Engine.
Awesome. Exciting. Stefan, how about you? Do you do any coding?
I've already answered that.
Oh, I asked you already. Sorry about that. Max, do you do any coding?
Gosh, yeah, I do. Well, I learned to program through Roblox in my early teens. So that helped facilitate me go to university and take computer science. Roblox uses a really nice programming language called Lua. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's similar to the Python programming language, but it's a really nice language to learn. And it's super simple. I believe they're midway through making their own like version of Lua called Lua U, or it's probably pronounced completely differently to that. But it takes like Lua and optimizes it for Roblox. So they're really pushing hard on it. And like, if you want to learn to program, I couldn't recommend Roblox more. It's done so much for me.
That's amazing, because I think a lot of people think that if they want to do computer science at university, then they have to learn one of the kind of more core programming languages, right? Like C++ or something like that.
Yeah.
But you're saying that playing Roblox, learning Lua can get you into university.
Definitely. Like the foundation of every programming language is fairly similar. As long as you go into university with a knowledge of the basics of programming and problem solving, which is what's most important, then you'll be fine at university.
Awesome. Now, we talked earlier about once you'd started making things that you thought were good enough to share, you started sharing them, some of you went viral. Do we think that YouTube is the best way to get this kind of content out there, Michael?
Yeah, I think so. I think YouTube, honestly, right now, TikTok is really trending when it comes to Fortnite content. So that's always an option. But I always tell people that are trying to get into creative that to rely on getting brand deals or getting features through Epic. I don't even do that because I know it can all disappear tomorrow. Like, the best way is to build a brand and to build yourself up as a studio or as a game designer, because it has a lot of value.
Stefan, Minecraft and YouTube have a long history together. It's frequently one of the most popular games on the platform. Do you think YouTube is also the best place to share things?
Yeah, but I'd say the reason is because when you want to be heard, you have to ensure that the way that you're sharing what you have to share is very, very accessible. And YouTube is probably like the most accessible video platform out there. The way that it will embed on whatever other software you decide to share it on, so that people can, if someone's sharing it to their friend, they're just, oh, right, click play and it just plays there. You don't have to go to another website and click some stuff and log in or whatever. And I think that's the most important part for me. And then because it's so shareable, that works in itself. And the fact that it's on the platform that the majority of kind of Minecraft content is on anyway, kind of helps out at the same time.
Max, are we going to get a 3 for 3? Is the same true for Roblox? Just put it on YouTube?
Yeah, recently Roblox has become like huge on YouTube, but Roblox itself is quite different to the other platforms in that to access Roblox games, everyone goes through like roblox.com, this website. And Roblox themselves actually offer their own advertising service to your games. So you can use the in-game currency to purchase like advertising slots, like banners down the side or sponsorship areas. So like completely internally to Roblox, you can get quite a lot of like advertising. But yeah, Twitter's also big. The Roblox Twitter community is a good way to get your creations out there.
The other games that we've been talking about have a level of in-game advertising as well, right? Or at least kind of marketplaces. Stefan?
Yeah, so Minecraft Bedrock Edition has a marketplace button on the main menu, and then obviously when you click on that, it's a curated store page. So your new content will be like at the top. And then you'll have sort of like trending rows and themed rows and stuff like that. And that's all curated on Microsoft side. But yeah.
So trying to get curated by Microsoft is a good shout.
Yeah. Yeah. Just make stuff that's worth shouting about.
Sure. That's always true, isn't it? Michael, what about with Fortnite?
Yeah, it's the same. There's nothing like where you can actually like buy ad space, but there is what we call the hub, which is very similar to what Stefan was talking about, where they have the trending spots and different feature spots, but it's all curated by Epic.
Okay. And so let's talk about the difference between making this kind of thing just, on your own for the community and then becoming a professional and doing this kind of thing professionally. If people watching start creating things and they reach that point where they are going to start doing it professionally, are there any extra challenges that they should know about? Let's start with Stefan. Stefan loves to be asked first.
You need help. You need to trust other people. Yeah. And you need to delegate and get people to help you.
So you're talking other people in your professional team rather than just have a good support network around you generally.
Yeah, I mean, a bit of both. Yeah, because I mean, when your stuff scales up, your workload scales up. So it's important to have a good, people to support you in doing that. And yeah.
Max, I presume you agree because you talked about wanting to bring on other members and, build a team rather than just working on your own.
Yeah, definitely. As you become a professional and like as Stefan said, when you get more people playing your game, you really need to start bringing out updates faster and faster. And the only way to do that is to hire people, delegate. I'm a programmer. I can't 3D model very well. So I've got, another partner who does the 3D modeling. We constantly purchase like artwork and stuff from artists and contract people to do music for us. So it's definitely really important to learn to delegate and actually use the money you're earning to reinvest that back into the company instead of just hoarding it in a bank somewhere. And also, as you become a professional, there's a lot more pressure on you to do things right. Your fans expect like your new games to be brilliant, and you don't want to fail because if you fail, that's your income, and it's a really competitive environment.
So savvy business sense. Michael, you had already worked professionally in marketing. So how did you find the jump to doing this professionally? And were there any kind of challenges that you weren't expecting?
Yeah, I think it actually really helped because now I work usually with marketing companies who want to do something in Fortnite. So I usually know kind of how to speak their language. And I definitely recommend anyone who is trying to become a professional. It's not just once you become that professional, you have to act professional and you have to act with a sense of excellence, and your quality goes up, like Max was saying. And there's just so many things that are expected of you when you are doing this for a career. So yeah, just act professional.
Sound advice for every day. And Michael, it's funny, you talked earlier about how marketing has become your hobby as this has become your career. And Stefan, you mentioned that your hobbies were things like film and Lego, for instance. So I want to talk about what other kind of skills and hobbies you've brought into this work. And we'll go to Max, because I don't think we've heard as much from you about what kinds of things you like doing outside of playing games and how that's helped you.
Nothing. Just playing games.
I love playing games. Outside of like games, I love to just innovate and create new things. I love physics, for example. I love bringing physics into Roblox as it's like a huge, crazy physics engine. Like making huge contraptions. Recently, I made like a massive vehicle lift in a camping game to transport people up a mountain, and used physics to make like a bowling ball return system that completely broke, but it was a great experience. I can't think other ways in which I've brought things into what I do.
I mean,
think, like,
games, programming, and physics are all big parts of your life, obviously, and things that all work together really, really well.
Yeah, definitely. Like, as for other experiences, I think like the more meetings, like I'm still quite young and I've not got much experience like in the working world, but the more meetings I have, the more conferences I do, the more I can like make myself more professional, if that makes sense. So I'm constantly using those skills to improve the games and improve marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. And Michael, you walked into this world with plenty of marketing experience already, but what else in your previous experience were you able to apply to this work?
So I went to film school originally, and that's how I got into marketing. So I'm a big film lover as well, and I think just like the storytelling aspect of film has really played a huge part in everything I do in game design, because I think everything does tell a story, whether it is the marketing of the game or the actual story of the game. Obviously, it all plays a part.
Stefan, have you found that true for you as well then? Because you also studied film, right?
I did. Yeah. So, yeah, I also went to film school, and I ended up specializing in sound design, because something I realized like early on was how important sound was in film, in trying to create that kind of convincing atmosphere so that people can truly get immersed. And because of that, like, I had a large interest in sound design, and I was probably the earliest adopter of bringing custom sounds into Minecraft, to try and sort of enhance our adventure experiences. And I think that was largely one of the reasons that our maps went viral, is because everyone was like, whoa, look at this. There's like actual like sound and stuff that's going on, and they're creating like these like cool sequences with, you know, mechanical drums and alarms and etc. So yeah,
amazing. I'm sure that helped play well on YouTube as well. Having really good sound helps with the kind of marketing.
absolutely.
Awesome. So I want to ask one last question to all of you, which is kind of to sum up what advice you would give to aspiring creators. Kind of what is the one thing that you wish that you had known when you started? And I know that Stefan would hate me if I chose you to go first. So we are going to start with Michael.
Dang it, I was like, please no. No.
This was the toughest question, right?
Yeah, it's tough. Let's see. If I could tell myself something 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it would be start sooner. I would have started doing this a long time ago, and try to learn as much as you can. No matter how high you get in game design, no matter how many deals you do, there's always stuff to learn. You never know everything. So I'm constantly just trying to be a student, and I would tell anyone who's getting started, just be a student, learn from others, do everything you can. Yeah.
Stefan, would you also have told yourself to start sooner? Because you started quite a while ago, didn't you?
Well, for me, I started Minecraft when I was like 16, right? So it's not compared to Max and Michael, Max sounds like, you started at like 12 or something, right? So,
13.
yeah. So I'm 28 years old now, so it's kind of, for me, it felt early. Yeah, 16 years old. But prior to Minecraft, I was sort of making some machinimas and stuff in other games. And I honestly don't know what advice I would give to myself, other than like, I don't know, grow up sooner, dude. You know, stop being such a child about things. I don't know. Like,
I mean, we mentioned Max starting when you were a literal child. Presumably you wouldn't give yourself that same advice.
No, but I would tell myself to just grab it with both hands and like just like go for it harder. Like, having known what Roblox will have turned into, like a huge platform from what it was, I'd have told myself, just put all your hours into it. Forget university, just take Roblox. But seriously, like Stefan was saying before, I tell myself, I can't do everything myself. I need other people to do the 3D models. Like I'm quite a micromanager. I love to know like exactly what other people are doing and give them input. And that's something that you can't do as you grow. And especially on Roblox, there's a huge community of like-minded individuals with different skill sets. So you can get stuff done a lot quicker when you're working in a team. And also Roblox is a huge social platform. So I'd probably tell myself to start making games that take advantage of this and encourage social interaction instead of just like, I don't know, like the world's dangerous racing track and all those weird games.
Making friends and letting them help you. That sounds like brilliant advice for any day of the week. Thank you very much, Max. And thank you to the rest of you for joining me on this panel. It has been an absolute delight. Unless there's anything that anyone else wants to add, I think we will call it there. Thank you to Max and Michael and Stefan for joining me on this panel. I'm sure we will have links to where everyone can check out their work. Does anyone have a kind of Twitter handle or a link that they want to give for people?
Sure. So me personally, you can find me on Twitter at the Noxite. And then the website is noxcrew.com, noxcrew.com.
Awesome. Michael?
And then for me on Twitter, it's going to be at the SlurpYT. And then we have a website and it is brand new. So I'm going to make sure atlascreativestudios.com. Yep.
We're getting the first peek of the brand new website. Thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am.
And Max?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at RBLXOplo, so OPPLO. And you can also follow our studio, Abracadabra Studio, on Twitter to keep up with what we're doing next.
Awesome. And if anyone wants to, they can follow me as well. I'm at Jerica Webber, although I am not a creator, just a humble presenter. So maybe you won't want to. I won't be offended. At any rate, thank you so much for watching our panel, and I hope you're enjoying the rest of London Games Festival. I'm sure I will see you soon.